Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 486. This is your guide to the geek side, and I'm one of your hosts, Todd Oxtra, chilling in Minnesota. It's August, folks. Get ready. We got a couple months until, some people are calling it Ogtober, where they're celebrating Summerween. So if you want, for some orange skeletons, some pumpkins that are wearing leis, have a good time.
Ogtober sounds like some kind of terrible creature from Lord of the Rings. Oh, we're in the forest of the Ogtobers. Brrr, pumpkin spice. There you go. Yes, very scary stuff. Very scary stuff. I'm Charlie, by the way. Hello, everyone. Great to see you. Welcome to summertime of pickleball. Our pickleball squad here in Grand Rapids is on the grow. We're having a good time. Not feeling good about my chances of getting Todd to play when we're in Chicago in a couple weeks, so I'll just let it go. Plus, Todd's more broken down than I am, so I know your arm will fall off or something.
Yes,
I don't want to hurt you. Yeah, that's perfectly fair. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about, but first and foremost, as always, paying the bills and giving sweet homage to these wonderful people that support us over on our Secret Friend Squad on Patreon. If you visit patreon.com/secretfriendsunite, you can try out our great wares for 1 week for free, such as exclusive shows, our main shows with no ads, early versions of shows like Code 47, the Star Trek show that I run, fun Discord benefits, etc., for as little as $2 a month. We do have a new monthly SFU Patreon-only podcast, which we recorded last week. We had a couple of folks show up, plus Todd and Mark and myself, and it was a good time. And Mark has a fun new podcast called Walk Nerdy with Me, where he pontificates on life while walking down busy streets in his suburban Canadian neighborhood. Very exciting stuff. But let's give some love, and we've expanded our love giving with this segment, talking about our besties, our friend Chris Johns, Chris 1H1D, my buddy Derek Trevelyan, who I also call the Figure Dude because he's my figure collecting partner. Francie, don't know you, we'd like to drop us a ping. XEP. And my Uncle Tim, or as Todd calls him, Charlie's Uncle Tim, my Uncle Tim Horan, who handed me a check about a year ago for $24 and said, I want to support your show. And we've just kept it running. So I'm very grateful.
Did you send him his resubscription?
Oh, should I send? I thought you said, should I send him a receipt, which I'd have to print it out and put it in the mail. On our Friends with Benefits level, we talk about these folks all the time. John Sedorf, the Phoenix Sisters Entertainment, Kelly and Crayley, lovely ladies, Brendan Myers, Corey and HD, Matthew Keel, and our top tier folks, including Sean, Stella, and Henry, the nice family of the Twin Cities. Sean did join us on our cast last week, and it was nice to finally meet him. So that's good stuff. Swing on in there. Secretfriendsunite.com, patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. And try us out for 7 days. It's a good time. You'll be glad you did. All right.
We'll be doing the Patreon community chat, the party chat, whatever you want to call it. We're doing that about once a month. It'll be just a good time to get together. We do record that, so we'll put that out there for all our Patreons to hear. But just be aware that we're having a good time. So you might hear something that might be a little bit more adult, and that's perfectly fine.
Alcohol might have been involved. I feel like there might have been some alcohol involved in this week's cover because there's a lot of fire.
It is, yes, Charlie.
Yes, alcohol.
Challengers of the Unknown. This is issue 86 from May 1978. We've got Swamp Thing, we've got Dead Man, we've got the Challengers, who I thought there were 4, but there's only 3 here. Man that looks kind of like Flash Gordon shooting at Swamp Thing.
Right. Yeah.
Says, is this the future? It says, smashing through the time barrier ahead 12 million years. Will the Challengers survive the war at time's end?
So the time will end in 12 million years. So that's, I don't know. That just give me a lot of time to get
we'll be dead before then, Charlie. So who cares?
Oh, damn it. Oh, I don't know much about this comic. I mean, Swamp Thing, I know he had that movie where he saw, Adrienne Barbeau naked when we were kids, so it's very memorable. Dead Man, I feel like is a figure I've seen around, like he pops up, but not super well known. And I was trying to figure out about the Challengers, and I was talking to you about the the fan film that director Max Landis produced a number of years ago, where he touched upon, I thought it was the Challengers in relation to the death of Superman, that they were like the Fantastic Four, but they went up in space, got hit by cosmic radiation, and they just died from it. They didn't get superpowers. I don't know. Maybe that's not the case.
I couldn't tell you. They've been around for quite a long time, since 1957, in Showcase 57. So there have been many members of the Challenge of the Unknown. Well, basically, they just got together and solved mysteries around the planet. They were they were basically normal dudes.
They're like the Scooby-Doo gang, get together and solve.
Kinda, yeah.
No fun, dog. Well, how exciting, Todd. I would assume there's an outside chance this could be discovered on the DC Infinite app.
Oh, of course, yes. I think that guy might be Rip Hunter. He was also another time-traveling guy from DC. Right. So their uniforms were very funky. There were typically 4 on the team. But yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. But shooting Swamp Thing doesn't seem like a good solution.
No, it'd be very squishy. Unless that hot ray would dry him out and then he'd just be like a weed, be like, yank. I don't know. But if there's anybody I know who's an authority on weeding and drying things out and just overall kind of being a big pain in the butt, but in a great way, that would be our senior news correspondent, Madam Webb. At 124 and a half years young, she's been with us since the beginning, always brings us the best news and scoops down at the corner of Hollywood and Vine. Let's go for it.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's Rumors and News. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. Madam Webb, it is time for county fairs and state fairs. So get your blue ribbon recipes ready, your figure making and your butter sculptures ready. It's time to go.
The Iowa State Fair. Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's Minnesota, man. The butter sculptures of the Dairy Queens.
And not the Dairy Queen like the where you go get ice cream, but
they basically sculpt the head of all of the Queen's Court of the State Fair
and put them on cows.
Put into a refrigerator. No, we don't put them on cows. They would melt. Yes, so they're there for all to see. Yes.
What a fascinating slice of Americana. Anyway, naturally, we talked about San Diego Comic-Con last week, but there was so much that happened. Of course, we missed some of the bits and pieces. So why don't you tackle this first one, because that is your scene, DC Comics.
Yeah, so actually some comic news. It's so weird that there was so little comic news out of Comic-Con, but we do have, there was a big announcement about the new, X-Men got some big coverage there because we've got the new Ultimate or the new X-Men relaunch is coming, which I'm very excited for. They showed some new covers there, but one of the big things they're doing is DC is creating something called the Absolute Universe. So this is essentially DC's attempt to do a line of comics similar to Marvel The Ultimates. Basically, the Ultimate Universe, where it's not saying nothing else exists. No, it's saying you can enjoy the current run of comics, but we are essentially saying here is a pocket universe where we're basically giving a lot of DC characters essentially a different look, different feel, different origin stories. It's kicking off in DC All In Special number 1 shot to kind of explain what's going on. And then the actual comics will launch in October 24. We're getting Absolute Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman are going to be the kickoff books. Scott Snyder is really behind this with Joshua Williamson, which does the G.I. Joe books as well as the Transformers books. And what we're going to get is these books, which essentially it gives you a little bit about their origin. Okay, so Absolute Batman, without the mansion, without the money, without the butler, what left is the absolute Dark Knight. So kind of,
I've got it. He's DC. He's Gotham City's edgiest slam poet.
Sure. Hopefully, he's a polymer too. Yeah. Absolute Wonder Woman without the island paradise, without the sisterhood that shaped her, without a mission of peace. What is left is of the absolute Amazon. And then Superman without the fortress, without the family, without a home. What left is the absolute Man of Steel. It's kind of like a what if, but if it became like an ongoing part of the world versus a one shot.
It just sounds like they'd all be super grumpy because they're broke. They're broke. They're broke and
homeless.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Batman with no money to drown his tears of no parents. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
man.
Darkness, no parents. From Lego
Yeah.
Batman. Oh my goodness.
Some of the designs are interesting. Like Batman, the design looks amazing. Like he's super hulky. He's got a huge bat on his chest.
It's practically shoulder to shoulder, and it's just a big rectangle with
Yeah.
a little bat tail. Yeah.
Wonder Woman's got some tattoos on her arm, and then Superman's
looks like,
got a little bit longer hair.
It looks like Jonathan Kent a little bit, doesn't he?
His sleeves are kind of pulled up a little bit. And this is basically also reintroducing Darkseid as into the world of DC in this universe too. Going to be like the big antagonist. So that's cool. Yeah.
Gosh, how exciting! Well, good deal. Yeah, I wouldn't mind taking a peek. We could even.
Well, it'll be in the DC Universe app, Charlie, a month after it launches. That's the joy.
Engage on it in Spinnerack. That sounds like fun. Yeah. All right. Well, Marvel Comics news. I love this. Now, when we got the Captain America: Brave New World trailer, which was before San Diego, we did see after the reports and speculation that Giancarlo Esposito was going to play a villain in the film. In the clips, you surely saw him, running, gunning around and shooting at people and being a, Jack Bauer espionage kind of dude. And it seemed like it was confirmed that he was going to be the character of G.W. Bridger, who was a New Mutants character, a S.H.I.E.L.D. character. And no, we got a little flippity flop, which actually ties back to a kind of a gag piece of news from 2015, where the Captain America Civil War was going to be Captain America, the Serpent Society, which, if you are a old school Cap fan like I am, if you read the Mark Gruenwald run in the 80s and the 90s, you would know that the Serpent Society is basically a group of mercenaries, some powered, some unpowered, but all have personas of snakes. So it's kind of like, I would say it's not really like Cobra is to G.I. Joe, because Cobra is more, a big army and everything. This was a group of probably 8 to 12 individuals that had, there was Diamondback, Cottonmouth, and then
Constrictor?
the leader, Constrictor, correct. And the leader of the group was Seth Volker, aka Sidewinder, which will be Giancarlo's character in the film. So they are bringing the Serpent Society to life. That's an interesting twist. It's a nice deep cut. And that's I think that's going to be pretty sweet. I wonder how many other Serpent Society characters, or at least Easter eggs, we'll get out of it, or if he'll have other operatives that are the other one. One of them was Diamondback, Rachel Lighton, who was Steve Rogers' girlfriend for a long time. Because she was a bad girl who wanted to go straight for him, and they were a couple for a long time, including during his Cap Wolf phase. But so I guess she, exactly. So bizarre.
That's what happened. That's what happened. Yeah.
So that should be fun. That makes me want to go back and read some of those stories again.
I was going to look here to see if they I don't even know where they're at, to be honest, because I mean, are they still around? Are they doing anything cool and new?
I have not. I will admit I have not been a regular Cap reader since the 90s. I hate to say it.
Didn't half of them get killed off by what's his name?
Scourge. No,
he didn't kill him off.
No, he was Scourge. Scourge killed off a lot of old characters. He killed a few. He killed the Asp. He killed Asp. He was not able to. I don't think he killed the Fly. He killed really lame ones like Turner D Century, and there was the massive. I think it was Cap 318 where he gathered them all together in the bar with no name, and then he had two machine guns. And he just
remember that. Yeah. But there
was
Puff Adder, Black Racer.
Yep. Yeah.
Black Racer was another one. Yeah. I was looking at
there was Mamba. Mamba was one of them. Yeah.
Black Mamba. Yeah. Gotta love it. It's
fun. So
I'm assuming there'll be a bunch of guys in leather coats.
Exactly. It will be just a bunch of mercenaries, but they'll have dumb code names and no powers or costumes.
And tattoos. And
Yep. You cannot be a bad guy without a high and tight and a bunch of tattoos. That's what makes somebody a badass. All right, you got a couple of merch things for us, so take it away.
Yeah, I was looking around to see, because I know they always have. I mean, it's Toy Arc. I always look there and too many toys, so it's really hard to remember what was the ones that really stood out. So one of the cool ones, we're big fans of The Simpsons. The Simpsons memorabilia has been around decades and years, and I still have a bunch of them. But they're coming back in a line that's actually affordable, not like the Super 7 line or whatever, where it was like $85 for a Simpsons figure. I'm like, no.
Yeah, $55 was and admittedly they were nice. I mean, they put some nice scale to them, lots of accessories, but I don't need that shit. That's
Homer doesn't need 85 points of articulation.
Most of the accessories I get for the figures I have go in a bin. That I have a bin of bins that's just heads and hands and guns. Yeah, exactly. So
do you have a Dewey Decimal System, Charlie? So when you need to look them up, Homer's beer is in section 2.3A.
They're in a plastic snap case, so if I decide to sell one on eBay, then I know where to find the bit. But anyway, Todd, I sent you a picture earlier this week. I figure hunt, even though I'm not currently collecting anything. I like to go in and out of Targets and Walmart and Meijer here in the Midwest. But yeah, these are in stores. There's a set of the family that's for $20. Which means I should just pay. So the figures are about
those are probably the 2.5 inch figures. So it looks like they do have a line of 2.5 inch figures.
Yep. Yeah.
That should be super cheap. Yeah, $5 or less, right?
And they have a 5 inch, so it'd be double. So you'd figure they'd probably be double the price. They have a premium set, which includes Mr. Burns' Dracula, Radioactive Homer, and of course Radioactive Man. And there's a set of plushies. I saw those shelf talkers. That's very classic. So it'd be fun. I'm tempted. But the question is, where does stuff go? I mean, I have some space down here, so I may get the little cheapy ones. And like this space directly behind me is the hodgepodge. So it's a good place to hodgepodge stuff in. So that's probably where I'll end up. Yeah.
And some of the stuff I sent you, Charlie, I included Simpsons watches that were sold at Burger King, still in box. Some are a little squished, but that's okay. And I still have a bunch of like the Burger King toys from their meals where that was all from the Halloween episodes, and I love those. So
very nice. Yes. I'm lining up some toy shows for next month, so hopefully we'll be selling a couple of those for you. We shall see. So
there's some neat stuff. I mean, I hope that this 5.5 inch line, it seems like it's good enough that works really well. I don't need like uber expensive Simpson figures, but I do like the fact that they offer them all. So.
Right. And what do you got going with the Transformers here? Something different, or is this an existing line?
Yeah. So the Transformers, they do so many different lines based on either the movies, different cartoons. So, I mean, I usually skip like the studio series. So that's like the more modern films. They do some of the like cartoons from 86 line, which is studio series, which is fun. So those are kind of neat, which gets you more of the, like, they look iconic. They're affordable, typically anywhere from 25 to 60, depending on the size of the figure, which is nice. But the ones I'm always interested in is they have an awesome new Optimus 86 series, movie series. It's $90, but it is a good size Optimus with the full trailer and everything. Looks amazing, cartoon accurate. Wow. It's really nice. It's one of the better looking figures.
Would you say it's to scale with G1? So this is simply an evolution of that, or is it different?
It is to scale with the other studio series in their main line, but it is not to scale with the Masterpiece figures. But you know what? The Masterpiece figures are all over $100. So if you're not getting this if you have the Masterpiece line. You're just not. This is for like fans who want something that's not too ridiculously expensive. And $90, I would say, is probably in the high end for most casual.
You just said $90, and the other one was over $100, but you didn't say it was $100. So
well, I will tell you the most of the Optimists that are the Masterpiece line are closer to $250.
Yeah. Okay.
So this gets you in the door for a nice Optimus. The other thing that they do, and Charlie, I know you love it so much, is the mashups with Transformers lately. They've been doing everything. I've already pre-ordered the Knight Rider Transformer, which is amazing. And because it does the lights, it does the sound of Kit. It's really awesome. And
I'm sorry, that's a Cylon.
Kind of similar to that.
Didn't they also make the same noise? And then I know there's a mashup of Sergeant Slaughter's Triple T tank in stylized from G.I. Joe. It comes with two figures. Comes with the Sergeant with Leatherneck, who was the 1986 series, just the Marine on the team. And what does that change? What does that one change into?
So Cup is the character. He was from the animated movie. Yeah, he looks just like the Triple T tank, which is great. I'm like, yep, that looks good as a vehicle. Also looks good as a robot. That's typically the problem I have with a lot of these. It's like the robot looks great, but the vehicle looks like trash. So this one looks perfect. It's a great match.
And it was definitely with the G1 series, it was the exact opposite because the vehicles were great, but then you got like the transformed like Megatron was like, what the fuck is this? It just didn't look like anything.
Well, the Megatron one with Baroness was kind of like a Cobra tank of some sort that I wasn't 100% sure.
I was talking way back when. I thought the one, didn't they do the Rattler? So the plane, which is the current HasLab?
No, they have not done a plane, but
it was the Hiss tank. That was what it was for Baroness.
That was the Hiss tank with Baroness, yeah. And I thought that one didn't look too bad. I mean, for what it was doing, worked pretty well. Megatron looked a little funky, though. It didn't really look like the Megatron I wanted. But yeah, the Autobot Cup Triple T with the 2 figures, $90 going to be it should be available for pre-order now, which is great. They're usually easier to find. And then the one I was talking about, the Knight Rider one, it's $50. It's called Agent Knight. I love it. The car looks amazing and really good version. So I'm glad we're getting some of these. I was looking through. I almost decided to sell off my X-Men Blackbird Transformers match. I'm like, nope, I'm keeping it.
Oh, keep it. Those are fun. Yeah, I have no idea the aftermarket values on that, but all right. Well, moving on. We have a story. You know what? This story made me so sad. I didn't even want to read it, but I'm an enormous fan of Ron Moore's Battlestar Galactica. We've been covering it over on the Facts Geek Life, over on our Patreon. Myself and Peter, who is my regular co-host on our network Star Trek show, the Code 47. And that show was on from 2004 to 2009. And when it ended, Todd, I even talked to you a few months ago, I rewatched just the finale. I'm like, my God, I thought this was such a great ending. But it's controversial. Most people hate that stuff, but I thought it was a great way to wrap up the series with a very complete ending. So back in 2019, it was, of course, announced that Peacock, which is owned by Universal, they have always owned the IP, was going to remake the property. And apparently an announcement that came from Variety this week, that is no longer the case. So they put a pin in it. Like I said, I didn't read it because it made me very sad. Todd, why would they want to shut this down? Why are they breaking my heart?
Well, it hasn't made much progress. And quite honestly, I think the issue they're having is they keep on talking about the series, but they have not explained what this series would have actually been. This was supposed to be part of the same continuity as the 2003 Battlestar Galactica series. Was it going to be like another Battlestar? Was it going to be from the perspective of the Cylons? I don't know what it would accomplish except for be probably compared and not loved. Like Caprica was a series that came out of, it was a prequel.
It's funny you described from the perspective of the Cylons and another Battlestar. They did both of those. There was the Battlestar Pegasus, and then there was The Plan, which was the TV movie of the first 2 seasons told from the perspective of the Cylons. So it's been done. They tried a prequel. They did a prequel movie called Blood and Chrome, which was about the days of young Bill Adama on Battlestar Galactica during the first 40 years prior, and during the first Cylon War. Like they covered all the and then they did Caprica, which is this is how the Cylons were invented from a human perspective, even though that's a little subjective if you watch the series. So you're right in a lot of ways, and I hate to say throwing in the towel, but there's not really a lot more they can do. There's not really a lot more they can do with the continuity unless they did a full-on prequel series, which they tried and didn't get picked up. There was not the interest. So I'm, as much as I would enjoy having a new show out there, which means a whole new stream of merch and different stuff, Peter and April and myself and maybe some other friends, maybe even Brian Cole, if I could talk him into it, are going to a Battlestar event in Chicago in October. That's the 20th anniversary. All of the cast, with the exception of Michael Hogan, is going to be there, which is crazy. So I really look forward to that. But yeah, it's just kind of become a nostalgia deal, and it's interesting on the heels of the fact that Creation Entertainment is doing that show. I don't know if they're doing it in other places around the country. The fact that they have nothing new to share, that's kind of a bummer. So it's just purely being pushed along on nostalgia.
Well,
a lot of properties survive that way, I guess. If you think
the old Battlestar Galactica, that was kind of looked at as kind of like goofy at times, weird,
Yeah.
strange, all the things they did, brought back and basically given like new life. I took a different approach. So I think the only way this works is they say, we're doing the exact same thing. We're starting over, but we're not going to follow this. We're going to do something different.
Right.
But I don't know how many times you can kind of tell the same story.
Right. It was
and
like,
say like, oh, it's going to be totally exciting and new.
There was robots. We had a war with them. We tried to make peace. They tricked us. They blew us away. One ship escaped, and then this is the journey of that ship. Yeah. How do you do it again? You know what I mean?
Maybe that's fine. Maybe not everything has to be brought back unless you go like, we're going, and I don't know. When did the original series end?
It was on for one season in 1978.
What was the Earth one? What was it? What was the other one?
Oh,
Battlestar
Galactica
Earth or something
1980 was the sequel, which was very unsuccessful and just made it I don't even think a full season. Yeah.
So you got about 23 years between. This is 23 years between, essentially, or 21 years.
Reboot,
So I don't know. It seems like
they need another 10 years before they can come up with something. 23 years is the bulwark between needing to know. Yeah.
I'll say BSG holds up. It's a good series versus the old one, which was kind of like goofy and weird and, a little bit stuck in the
Peter and I we're at the end of season 2, and it's the presidential election one where Laura tries to steal the election from Baltar, and I'm like, this is a little too close to home with what's going on in the United States right now. So how prescient of them to come up with
Hillary versus Trump. No.
Yeah. Something that would be such a controversy, you know what I mean? So it's but they tell, Edward James Olmos as Bill Adama. I call all his great speeches his Billisms because he has a great speech like in every episode. It's the pinnacle of the career of a lot of great people, including Ron Moore, who I look
made a lot of careers for a lot of people, did some amazing stuff, and we were lucky to get it at a time when sci-fi was not known for doing prestige TV, and it did
on basic cable and with beautiful visual effects to hold up.
Exactly.
All right. Yeah. Well, let's move on. This has always been your jam, both animation and this delightful character actor that we have both met back in 1997 on the Michigan State campus.
Yes. So Evil Dead icon Bruce Campbell teases animated project that's in development. So it seems like an approach for most people, if they get a certain age and they want to continue on with a franchise they're known for, they go animated because their voice doesn't age as much as their face or their body.
But it does age a bit, but they can. It's interesting that you should mention that because Kate Mulgrew is back as Catherine Janeway in Star Trek Prodigy. She does a great job, or maybe they're tweaking it behind the scenes, of making her voice sound like it did in 2001. When the last time she played the character in live action.
Mr. Tuvok. Did they ask me to come and do the voice now?
They should, yes.
They should have, yeah. I do a great Catherine Hepburn.
Get my Camel cigarettes. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. But we did go back to the well with Ash at last in Ash versus Evil Dead in 2015, which was a very fun series. It was gory, horrific, and funny. Perfect match.
The one episode I remember is that they were captured by a demon, but sitting around a dinner table, and the demon reveals himself, and he goes, "Oh well, you're cooking with shit anyway," and then they fight. Yep. Yeah.
Great show. Lucy Lawless is in it. I really enjoyed it quite a bit. They actually had the Ash versus, I can't remember, was it Ash versus Evil Dead video game that was a lot of fun? Brought in characters from the original movies, the TV series. We have gotten those new Evil Dead films, which quite honestly I have no interest in because without Ash,
gory.
They're scary and gory. So it sounds like though they're looking to do animation with Bruce Campbell back as Ash Williams, and I think that's perfect. I think you can have a lot of fun with new stories with Ash, other adventures. We saw him do that, and I would love it. I think it'd be great. Maybe BSG should also do animated, Charlie, and they can do some crazy things and bring those characters back too.
Fantastic. I like it. Yeah, this will be good. So when do we see this? Or it's
it's
DVD?
vague. That's the biggest thing. It's very vague. He talked about this at Comic-Con because he was actually hyping up a new show that he's part of called Hysteria, which sounds really interesting too, which is coming to Peacock. So, man, he's a busy dude.
That's good. And especially, like you said, in his golden years. All right. Well, good. Well, that takes us out of the news, Todd. I got to get out that Fuber app, that feeble Uber app. We are due at a little place we dislike to call the Geek Easy, but we got to take a nasty cab to get down to Sleazyville, Scugtown. We jump in that 1970s era cab. He flips on his AM radio, and in between songs from the Starland vocal band, I hear this advertisement.
Hey, Secret Friends Unite, let me tell you about Zencastr. We use them for our show, and now they're supporting us. Zencastr is now the all-in-one solution making podcasting easy. It's the ultimate web-based podcasting solution, provides high-quality audio and video podcast production and hosting. With a full suite of professional tools, podcasters can seamlessly record, produce, and publish studio-quality content, all from one dashboard. Being a creator has never been easier. And we chose Zencastr because of the ease of use, high quality output, and it makes it super easy for our guests to come on. We had multiple solutions we tried before, and Zencastr has just been the best fit for us. Why Zencastr? It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sounds and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. Have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. So if you're interested in making an easy, high-quality podcast just with the click of a browser button, go to zencastr.com/pricing and use my code SFU1. You'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Now back to the show.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
Easy, cover band's playing, drinks are poured, and we are ready to get our nerd on. So, looking at Amazon Prime, I saw something that looked interesting because Bruce Campbell was right there. I'm like, what is this thing?
He's in your face.
Yes, it's called Discontinued. So this is a TV series from 2003. And Charlie, I think you'll enjoy this one because it reminds me of that one pop culture show. It was like pop-up video, but they did like the 70s, the 80s, those.
Oh boy. Is it
remember
like,
those shit?
Yeah, it would be like, here's this video by Aha. And it would be like, it pops up and it said, this guy was a blah, 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 this thing and that thing. Like that?
Well, it was more about the culture of the 70s. Like, here's all the things that happened. Oh, Pet Rocks. Remember they bring in like comedians to talk about like pop culture things.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that is a lot like this one. It's called Discontinued. And the premise is Bruce Campbell says he's in the future and the robots have taken over. He's in his place and he's finding all these old artifacts that were left behind.
Oh,
so
God.
He's gone back to the past to talk to experts about these things from the past. So a premise to just basically talk about pop culture stuff. So there is, let's see, how many episodes are? Oh, quite a few. 10 episodes. Total. I've watched like the first two. So the first two that I've watched, the first one was all about just random stuff. One was about Furbies. So they talked to people about Furbies, the history of Furbies. Very funny. They have comedians. They have other people on there. They talked about the BlackBerry phone, its history, what it did.
We watched we watched that BlackBerry movie not that long ago.
Oh yeah. That looked really with Glenn. What's his name?
Glenn Howerton. Yeah, he was a nutcase in that film. So it was pretty.
He's
dark.
good at that. Yeah, he's good at that. Legend of the Hidden Helper, that like Nickelodeon kids like game show.
Which one?
that they played where they'd like go in there and they'd have to like go through this tunnel and do stuff. It's like a Double Dare.
Double
kind of
Dare
show.
is what that's what it
yeah,
makes me
yeah,
think of.
yeah. This was past us, Charlie. This is the next generation of beyond Double Dare. And they also covered the Galactic Star Cruiser, the new the Star Wars hotel.
Oh my God,
they're covering a variety of things.
That thing from like a year ago that didn't make it.
Yeah, it got canceled because it was basically like it's like it's the Renfest, but you never leave and you spend the night
for 10 grand.
Yeah. Exactly, $6,000 or whatever. But they did a good job talking through all these. The other episode I watched was about Blockbuster. The history of Blockbuster. Really cool. They did the Talk Boy device from the Home Alone films.
Oh my god!
It was what Kevin used to record himself and you basically get a hotel and do these things so you could change your voice. Well, it became a toy line too.
Oh,
so basically, it was a toy in the movie that became a real toy that you could buy.
Art imitates life.
Yeah, the Lotus Esprit car for some reason. Because it was something about that time. And then they covered MacGyver, which I thought was pretty funny too.
MacGyver. MacGruber. I've been listening to the Lonely Island Seth Meyers podcast, and they just got into MacGruber. So yeah.
Yeah. But there's 10 episodes, and it's just basically every episode is 4 random things from the past where they just reminisce and do member berries. Very, very well done. It's about 30 minutes each. It's a well done show. I enjoyed quite a bit. I think you'll enjoy it too.
All right, I'll give it a crack because I've got to go back to Prime to watch the Cape Crusader, which we'll talk about only sparingly since you said you had a certain narcolepsy.
I had a limited experience. But anyway, I'm putting a link in here on the show. Hold on, I'll put the link in. So when you get the notes, you can actually see what this thing is about.
Excellent. But you and I both went to the cinema, and we saw the latest magnum opus by M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong, who's now been making films for over 25 years. And Todd, we've got notes. But since you're up first, why don't you take it and I'll interject as I see fit.
Oh my goodness! So Trap is the latest M. Night Shyamalan film, and it actually, Charlie, it only cost $30 million to make, so that's pretty cheap.
And this is how he does it. It made 6 this weekend.
No, it opened with a $6 million night. It's going to make about $20 million this weekend, so not too bad for a low budget film. And this film stars Josh Hartnett, Ariel Donahue, which I believe is Josh Hartnett's daughter, Salika Shyamalan, which is his daughter or cousin. I think it's his daughter.
It is his daughter, and she's a beautiful woman. My goodness, I had no idea.
Yeah, the wife, I couldn't remember. It was Alison Pill from Discovery, which I'm like, Picard. She looks familiar.
Picard.
Oh, Picard, yeah. And then Haley Mills, the original lady from The Parent Trap.
Why
Holy crap.
did that come? Yeah, last thing she stands out for me from our generation is the first wave of Saved by the Bell before they did the
Miss Bliss.
Yes, she's Miss Bliss.
Yes.
Precisely.
Oh God! I mean, I did not realize. I mean, so yeah, she was the
profiler, FBI profiler.
Yeah,
exactly. Just a very random choice of someone who is not. I mean, she's in her 70s. She's like our parents' age.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, and she's not a movie star. So it's like, where did you dig up Haley Mills? No pun intended. It just seemed very random to me.
Very random, very interesting. So this movie, it was written by Shyamalan, so that tells you something right there. So that would be like
especially with the scripting.
Yeah. So this is all about Josh Hartnett. Yeah, I mean, they give away like the initial twist right away, which I guess they had to do. The fact that he's a serial killer, he's going to this concert with his daughter, and there gets out that, it's a big trap to get this serial killer at this concert. And Charlie, this movie is all sorts of like, really?
Yeah.
Really? This movie doesn't even have a good twist. It doesn't even have that.
I'm reminded back, and it wasn't as big of a problem at the Knock at the Cabin, which was the movie from, was it last summer?
I like that. I like that.
I enjoyed it, but I go all the way back, maybe 2 or 3 summers ago, to the movie Old, or as the Weekly Planet Boys called it, Old, the Beach That Makes You Get Old, where and then going even further back to The Visit and some of his other films from like the mid aughts or the 20 to 20 teens, where I just don't. He needs to hand his idea over to a screenwriter that knows how to write people talking like people. Because even Josh Hartnett talking to the guy who's selling T-shirts, that entire interaction made no sense. Or
Yeah,
when
he came off as
when he was posing as a he's a fireman in real life, but he was posing as a cop, and just the way he talks to people is ridiculous. And then his poor daughter, who is she's a very beautiful girl, but my God, if singing is what she does, I think she should stick with it, because she couldn't act her way out of a paper bag in this movie. It was rough to watch her try to deliver dialogue. It was not great.
Yeah, his daughter played the pop star with the
Yeah.
concert. Her name was Lady Raven, and essentially Josh Hartnett. Yes, I mean I get it. He's a serial killer, so he's always looking to see what he can do to get out or manage the situation. So in that instance, yes, he's like the Sherlock Holmes of serial killers. Can always figure out a path through, and a different way path is. He's very fast on his feet to figure that out. Right. But one of the things is like, how does he escape the situation? It's like, well, if you get on stage with the star, you can go through the back.
There's way too much exposition dump, like early on, like, oh, this place is locked down. They say backstage is the only way to get out. It's like, really, you're gonna take us that way? It was a trail of breadcrumbs that led you into an open septic tank. I'm sorry. It was. There was nothing about this that was clever. And it is what really we come to expect, right? Yeah. Like there's going to be a twist, or there's going to be some clever aspect of it that you're really going to be like, oh, I didn't see that coming. Everything in this you saw coming. Everything.
It was just, yes, everything. It was, you did have one twist where I thought there was going to be a different twist, quite honestly, but it didn't get there.
I immediately thought, okay, well, you know what? The wife is in on it. It's got to be the wife is in on it.
I thought he was covering. Yeah, I thought it's so sorry, spoilers, folks. But I did feel like he was the guy who was actually just covering for his wife.
Right. Because why would they?
Or she was also a serial killer too.
Why would
the family was all in on it?
Why would they have given away in the trailer that he's like, oh, I'm at this concert with my daughter, but I got to go in the toilet to check my phone. And he looks at the video and it's this guy that he's got locked up. So you thought, well, there's no way that it can be that straightforward, because that's simply not Shyamalan's forte. He always has a little twist, and he's going to subvert your expectations. And that plus the just not normal way, like his interactions with the other girl's mother, how he kept bumping into her, like and the lady was like getting in his face and shit, and it's just like,
that was weird. It's like all of a sudden she's like, yeah,
you don't want to mess with me, because blah blah blah. It's like, what am I?
Where did that come from?
And I love it how it was a concert of 20,000 people, but it was very quiet and it didn't seem very crowded.
It was a very long concert too, because it seemed like we were sitting through like 85 songs, which was fine.
And and again, while what's the young lady's name? Is it Shamika? The daughter, the Lady Raven, seems to be a very talented singer
and dancer. Yeah,
much like with the music from A Star Is Born, which is a movie from a few years ago that I thought it was absolutely loved. The songs are dog shit. They're so bad. It's very hackneyed and corny.
Yeah, these are all R&B songs. I mean, it was kind of how you expect young girls would love like a star.
Yeah, Taylor Swift or Lady Gaga.
Well, this one's a little bit more like, I don't know, Pink maybe is maybe a better thing.
Lady Raven, I thought Lady Gaga with all the costume changes. That's where my brain
maybe
went.
But this one's more like like Aaliyah or something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you go down the path of nepotism and then you go and cast your daughter in a main part of the movie, and she's doing her best she can, but she's not an actress by trade in regards to that.
Right.
And talk about exposition, and everything goes, and like the plot twist to go where they go and what she does. And I'm like, and then she is like this biggest star in the world and she has no entourage going with her.
Yep, no security. Really? She gets drawn into a plot where, Josh Hartnett lures her back to their house, or she does a trick where she goes back to their house and she's able to she's in their house having like hors d'oeuvres without any security.
Yeah, exactly.
It's too far afield. And the twist at the end of it would make you think, oh God, they're setting up a sequel. I won't get into that. But it was just, and even the way that whole situation came to pass makes no sense. Yeah, that he's a mastermind, but even in the end, is how is he going to extricate himself from that situation? It was just so. Yeah, Todd, and I know we did a light, but if you were to, give this 1 out of 10 stabbing spokes or 1 out of 10 pieces of poison pie, what would you give it?
I will give it credit because I did like the premise. The setup was kind of cool, but everything else just fell apart. The actual execution was bad. So I'd give this one like a 4 out of 10. It's and quite honestly, I looked at Knock at the Cabin. That's based on a book rather than his own creation. So I think, to your point, different writer or something else, or collaborator or someone that actually say, this sounds bad, don't do this, or think through it. But yeah, not great. Yeah, I mean, you obviously when you gave me your thoughts at the beginning, I'm like, oh, am I gonna like this?
Yeah, it's very George Lucansian. Like the prequels where he's like, I'm driving the bus, so I'm going to do whatever I want. And you can tell he directed it. He wrote the script. Of course, Shyamalan stuck himself in this. George Lucas did that in episode 2. He was Baron Papanoidia in one of the Senate scenes in episode 2, if you didn't know, painted blue, and character also showed up in the Clone Wars.
Papa Giorgio?
Papa Giorgio, yeah, it's the pizza you want. Yeah, I'm going to give this a 2. Really, for me, it's the dialogue. I hate listening to dialogue that feels like dialogue. I like people to talk like people. That's just it's a thing for me. So yeah, I just don't care for it.
I did like the last credit piece. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, the last credit piece
where the guy is sitting watching the news like, holy crap. That was exactly pretty good.
Yeah, the t-shirt guy. So all right, well, let's move along. I watched this program. I won't say too much about it. It's one of 10 episodes, and I know you saw. How much do you think you saw? Half?
Probably saw half. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we teased about this several weeks ago, but there's a new Batman cartoon which is on Amazon Prime. And it's weird with all the deals and the licensing that you figure something like this would show up on Max because that's where the DC stuff is. But whatever, who cares? The great news about Amazon Prime is that everybody's got it anyway. The bad news is that this one did have a commercial in the middle where it felt like The Boys didn't. Felt like The Boys, they front-ended the commercials, where I had a commercial in the middle of this one. That was just different, I thought.
That's more common, Charlie. The Boys has a thing where we put limited commercial interruptions because the way the advertiser charged. This is more of what you're going to see normally on Prime, where there'll be a video interruptions throughout it. Yeah.
But it's like, you know what? 20 years ago, that's all we had. So who gives a shit? People
give them an extra $3 a month and you don't have to worry about it.
No, you can't have my $3 a month. Prime is already too expensive. But at any rate, so we're getting a take on Batman that is it set kind of in the 1940s, 1950s? That's the vibe I get. I don't feel the crossover like we saw in BTAS back in the Batman the Animated Series back in the 90s. I don't quite feel that vibe. So this feels like
this is like Batman Year One. This is like Batman Year 1, Year 2.
Yeah, it purely feels like it's set in the early to mid 1940s is my vibe. But
is there a cell phone yet? Is there like regular black? Is there color flat screen TVs? We'll see.
But we have a little bit of gender swapping and we have some race swapping in this. So we have Barbara Gordon is still a woman, so that they didn't swap that, but she's black. That would making obviously Jim Gordon, who's not the commissioner this time, also black. But the biggest twist is we have the Penguin as our villain in this first episode, and it is a portly woman. Not a portly. Is portly a bad expression to use? I don't know.
Well, I don't know if she's that portly. She's just full figured. I mean, because when she was singing and dancing, she looked like she had a shape.
Yeah, like the Kingpin, like it made the king. It's like if you made the Kingpin a woman. I don't know.
I mean, yeah.
But what's exceptional about this switch? Because a lot of people gripe, like going back to Battlestar Galactica, like, oh, they made Starbuck was a man and they made him a woman. It's what they do with it, and this character, and Todd, I won't give too much away. This version of the Penguin, ruthless, absolutely ruthless. Even more so ruthless than I would expect your more traditional Penguin character to be, because we go right back to thinking about Burgess Meredith in Batman 66. So yeah, it's Oswina Cobblepot as the
Oswina, no, Oswalda. Oswina?
Who's Oswina? Is that from something? Or I'm thinking of Ozma from Return to Oz with Fruza Balk. But yeah, this was great. Yeah, I won't say a hell of a lot more. But this was fun. There's 10 episodes. They all dropped simultaneously.
Yes.
I think. So they're all there to be seen on Prime.
It's I did like the character who's playing Batman. His name is Hamish. Good voice.
Oh,
Good voice.
You know who he
Very
was?
solid.
I dug in. He was the co-star on the New Adventures of Old Christine. I had no idea.
Oh,
Yeah. Her brother. I don't know. Did you ever watch that show?
I watched a little bit. I mean, that's where
Clark Gregg.
Yeah, was the ex-husband, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah. And we slammed through that maybe 4 or 5 years ago and enjoyed it. Yeah.
Okay.
Enjoyed it. Yeah. Very sitcom-y. You know,
Very CBS.
And you know what? I'll slip this in as a quick sidebar. You know what we have watched 4 episodes of today after resisting it for many, many years? Young Sheldon. And it's cute. I never thought it would be. It's actually less obnoxious than Big Bang Theory, which has a lot of detractors. Even though I watched it, it is very formulaic. But I'll put that in there as a note. But yeah, no, and that is on Max, which is weird. It's weird that it's not on Paramount.
Oh, they probably produce that.
Yeah.
Because they produce Big Bang Theory. Yeah.
But it's fun because unlike Big Bang Theory just poking at nerds being nerds, this is very sitcom-y and it's fun. But it's
the Wonder Years in the Deep South where nerds are he was the only nerd.
Right. Well, and instead of being a nerd, he's this child prodigy, and he's dealing with kind of all that. So that show is fun. My uncle Tim, who is one of our Patreons, loves this show. Has talked to me about it for the last couple of years, and I'm like, okay, fine. I would catch it in a bar or something like, oh boy, Young Sheldon's on. Didn't know anything about
King
it.
of Queens. I mean, just got
But it was very fun.
And they've got a new spinoff on that show coming up about 2 characters that get married. So there's going to be a spinoff of Young Sheldon.
Okay, I think I had heard that as well. So, and then very briefly, and I will admit that I, like you, Todd, drifted off during this movie. But which was the summer release, which did well, is now on Paramount Plus. The stars are Ryan Reynolds. I had no idea from the commercials that he wasn't like the dad of the young girl, and the young girl is played by Judith from The Walking Dead, who is a lovely young lady whose name I'm forgetting, but does actually have John Krasinski, who is her actual dad, and the identity of Ryan Reynolds' character, I will not disclose. Todd, I assume.
Wait, John Krasinski's daughter played Judith?
Yes.
I had no clue, because that's also Emily Blunt's daughter, then.
No. In the movie, Emily Blunt is not in the movie.
I'm like,
in the movie. Even
John
though
Krasinski's in the movie too?
Yeah. Emily Blunt actually is in the movie. She does voice one of the imaginary friends.
Is Krasinski a voice actor too in this? Or
he plays the father character to Judith,
I had no clue he was actually in the movie.
And as I said, Ryan Reynolds, who is featured in all of the promotional material, is not the father character, but he has an undisclosed role, which I won't talk about.
Well, he also can see in imaginary people too, right? That's his power too.
Will tell you nothing because you should see it.
Because he can see them because I've seen the trailers.
It's adorable. The voice cast of cameos is expansive. And of course I say that now. Bill Hader is in there. Maya Rudolph is in there. Yeah. So it is. Yeah, Carell is one of the main characters. He's the big purple thing. And so it's about this young girl who lost her mother. And I looked in the credits. The mother that she lost, who's just seen in flashback films, is the sister of Alexander Daddario, the super duper hot chick from the Mayfair Witches. So she has a sister, and this is her only credit. And I'm like, well, good for you. You played a dead mother in Photographs. Congratulations. It's a great career starter. I won't disclose too much about this movie. It's an hour and 45 minutes. It's on Paramount Plus, which again, Paramount Plus is kind of my favorite streamer. I would say go watch it. It's fun. It's life affirming. And at the end, you learn kind of what the deal is with Ryan Reynolds. Well, I don't want to say, but it's fun. But yeah, John Krasinski is
he really an imaginary friend?
I have no idea. I don't know what you're talking about. I lied. I didn't see the movie at all. That was the part I slept through. That was the twist.
The whole thing.
The twist is that I was the imaginary friend. I couldn't believe it. But anyway, I would recommend it. Todd, go see it if you need something that's just a little lighthearted.
Sure.
But anyway, that is the end of being at Geek Easy. We are skipping out on our bill yet again because screw these guys. But I've got up my Air Qantas app. I'm ordering up some tickets to get us to the land down under where Hologram Tina and the mutants await for us to talk about the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Let's do it.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
Thank you, Tina. The mutants been gathered for a topic or game to be entertained. And this week, after all of the news dump we got about all the Marvel stuff happening, we got to figure out what's actually going to happen, how it's going to happen, and really
where it's
what
going
we
to
would
happen.
like. Yeah, or would it be something we like, or should we do something different? So we can craft our own Marvel views. We can be our own Kevin Feige's along the way.
Feige me, baby.
So here is a really quick breakdown of everything that is scheduled in Phase 6. Now, before Phase 6, Charlie, we should probably hit that first. So before Phase 6, we're getting Agatha All Along. We're getting Captain America Brave New World. And then that's it, right? For Phase 5?
Those two things, right. Yeah, because that'll take us through, and I'll blast through this if you don't mind. I'll just read what's here, and then we'll go back. So we're into next summer. The Marvel movie of record next summer will be the Fantastic Four, Baby Steps, or First Steps, if you prefer, July 25, so that will be the same time frame as Deadpool and Wolverine, which just came out. I swear, don't they have another release next year? Oh, that's right. They say Blade is coming out next year, November 7th. We shall see. Getting into 2026, and then in 2027, we have the twofer that was just really expounded upon, Avengers Doomsday, which will debut Tony Stark as Robert Downey Jr. as the Doctor Doom character.
Correct.
And then everything coming together in Avengers Secret Wars on May 7th of 2027. Those are both May releases. So Marvel gets back to May releases, but it'll take 2 years. I swear to God, they had something that was kicking off the summer next year. Nothing in May, huh? That's where I'm confused.
What I don't see here is Ironheart.
I
don't see Thunderbolts either. So Thunderbolts is
so you got us a bad list. Boo. That's the summer kickoff.
Radar screwed us.
Bing let us down. But anyway, the other all of these other releases are dated TBC. Armor Wars, Marvel Zombies, which is going to be a show, I think.
Yes.
The fourth Spider-Man film in the Tom Holland verse. Untitled Vision TV series, which I think is called Vision Quest, I thought. So yeah, your list is blowing my mind. A third season of What If, which we know has already been produced or is deep into production because we've seen clips. Series about Wonder Man, one of my favorite unsung heroes of the Marvel Universe, a West Coast Avenger, and the second season of X-Men 97. So are they saying that the X-Men 97 continuity is considered Marvel Cinematic Universe? That's where I'm fuzzy. You know what I mean?
It's very fuzzy with the existing property. I mean, X-Men 97 obviously goes back to something that happened long before. So I would say those are not continuity. We're also missing here is the Spider-Man TV show.
Oh, yeah.
Which was what, freshman class?
This is an article just from yesterday. So, yeah, this is pretty sloppy.
Yeah,
it's too bad.
I will continue to look to see if I can find something else. But, Charlie,
that is okay.
That's what we know is coming. And it seems like there's still a lot of gaps there in regards to, who else will have movies? Because you're not going to, are they really going to go down to one Marvel movie a year in 2026 and 2027? I don't think so.
And they didn't in corresponding years like 2018 and 2019 with Infinity War and Endgame. There were other films. There were other films that kind of danced around the context of that or came before it or whatever it is, or just stayed independent of it. But so let's break it down. So what's your biggest high point here? And what's your biggest meh?
Well, and that's the hard part. I mean, considering it's about hype about something that could be good without knowing much about it, how it's going to execute. Because some of these things are just it's an idea. It could be cool. If we're just talking about Phase 6, so I am excited about the Fantastic Four.
Mhm.
Now,
But of course,
apparently this has been confirmed that this is set in the 60s.
Yep.
It is called The First Steps because I assume this is them at the beginning of their hero phase. I don't think we're
Yep.
going to get an origin story. I actually don't want an origin story. I want more of like
Yeah,
maybe
thank God.
a news clip or maybe an interview like with her on TV, like, oh, tell us about like, how it happened. And,
Yeah, right.
that's all I really want. But then maybe we're going to see some adventures. And then I assume this will tie into somehow the multiverse where they get pulled in to the modern
616,
MCU. And
Yep.
it's like people out of time, like that movie Flashback. If you
Right.
remember that one with Brendan Fraser. That was pretty good. So I'm excited. I hope it goes well. I really want that because Fantastic Four, quite honestly, is my guess if this all comes together, will be a huge part of what drives Doomsday.
Right.
And I'm not sure if we're going to see anything about a Victor Von Doom or a Doctor Doom or someone that could become Doctor Doom
Right.
in this movie. So I don't know.
Right.
I mean, I'm very excited for this.
Well, we know from the footage that is leaked that Galactus is the villain because they've shown him. They had an animatic of his eyes peering through a window of what you would assume is a space station. So Galactus
or he's a threat, or he's. It's like they know he's coming or something.
Mm-hmm.
Galactus is kind of a big deal to just like, oh, here he is.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And is he? I'm looking at the cast. The last one is John Malkovich. Is John Malkovich Galactus? That'd be awesome.
No. Ralph Ineson is Galactus.
Oh yeah. Well, then who the hell is John Malkovich? Is he Lumpy the Mailman? Or Willie Lumpkin, the mailman?
Well, we don't know who Paul Walter Hauser is playing. We don't know who John Malkovich is playing.
Right.
So Natasha Lyonne, we don't know who she's playing.
She better not be Alicia Masters.
Maybe she is. That would be pretty fun.
They have Julia Garner. Isn't that Ruth from...
Yes, the show that you keep... Yes, the Ozarks.
Ozark. The Ozark.
Never seen her before. She's playing...
Alicia Masters?
They said who she was playing for. She's playing another character that is tied to a galactic side of things.
Oh,
so,
gotcha.
Yeah, so this could be good.
Yeah. There were reports about that. She's not binary. One of
gender swapped Silver Surfer, but
yes, yeah, balalala,
shalabal,
shabadoo, and boogaloo shrimp. So it's breaking.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. So we'll see if that happens, where it leads, and if that then basically gets us to a path towards the big threat is I mean, if Doctor Doom is going to be in the next film, the Doomsday, is that where? I mean, I'm just trying to think where Galactus fits into an Avengers film along, with Doctor Doom. I don't know. Are they going to team up?
Well,
unless they
leave Galactus in the past, the dimension that they leave, be like, oh, we're fighting Galactus, and in the big whatever it is, he shot us off into the 616 universe. Who's to say? So we might not see Galactus again, or that version of Galactus might come around at some juncture.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember, Charlie, the Secret Wars comic.
Yeah,
that came out in the
2015,
late 2015. I was trying to remember what was the thing that caused the universe to turn into a Doom-led universe.
It was the Mole Man was driving the bus, or not the Molecule Man. Molecule Man drove the.
So he just
Doom got control over him. Much like you saw Doom doing in the original Secret Wars.
Got it. Okay.
I don't know. That is worthy of a reread because it's been 10 years. So I'm a little
great book.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that one. So I'm just trying to think what would be the equivalent in, I mean, unless it's really going to be about multiverse and there is a Doom that is in control and and he comes from that universe to take over this universe.
Right.
I'm just trying to think what would be the drive for that. And then, yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see then how they draw this out, and having two Avengers films right back to back.
Right.
I mean, I don't know who the Avengers will truly be, or it will just be everybody becomes an Avenger. So you've got
like they did in Infinity War and Endgame, right? Like there's a big fight at the end. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know,
because we've got some young heroes that they're trying to build up.
right?
We've got some, like, the Thunderbolts are going to be involved. Is Ant-Man going to be around? Is Thor going to be joining the party?
Yeah.
Because we don't have a lot of the other characters, that were part of the original Avengers that are still alive and kicking. Is Bruce Banner going to be involved? Is he going to advise her, and he's going to bring in She-Hulk?
Yeah.
Is Daredevil going to be hitting people with his billy clubs?
Bonk bonk. Spider-Man back, but nobody knows who he is unless they
Moon
fix
Knight,
that.
does he show up? I mean, you start thinking of like all these things they've done with all these different series, and I'm like, well, does Vision come into the? Because we're going to get a series, and he's going to get involved.
Right.
So I'm just thinking about this because Wonder Man is coming. Does he get involved? I'm just confused.
I don't
how
know.
they're going to bring all of this stuff together. Charlie.
I mean, we've heard very little about some of the ancillary series, like Armor Wars, that went back to being a film, which I think could be great because it continues the Iron Man quadrilogy. And then, but again, Rhodey was left in a weird place because of Secret Invasion, because he had been under as a Skrull for an undetermined amount of time. But yeah, talk about bringing back Sam Rockwell as Justin Hammer, which would be amazing because Sam Rockwell is delightful no matter what he does. So Marvel Zombies, we had touched on that. I'm trying to skim down. This is a show. They did say that Imam Vellani, so Ms. Marvel, would be a part of it. Shang-Chi, which, boy, we've never... Oh, so this could be putting together the newer heroes to fight the zombies: Shang-Chi, Ms. Marvel, Kate Bishop, Yelena, and Red Guardian. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, what about what's her name? Amelia Clark playing the super duper Skrull.
Super duper Skrull. We're gonna go with that.
Yes.
But
has all the powers of everybody and basically breaks the Marvel universe.
There you go. Yeah, it broke the fandom down the middle. The Vision show, Vision Quest, which I feel like it's been called, written by Terry Matalas, who I enjoy. He was the guy who drove the bus for the third season of Picard, which is generally loved by most Star Trek fans. But yeah, we've had White Vision out there since the end of WandaVision, which was in 2021. So he's just been out there for 3 years doing what? Got to find out. Because he just flew off. April and I just watched WandaVision earlier this week, finished it off, and I'm like, where did he go? He's just gone.
Exactly.
But like I said, we got a sneak peek of the third season of What If. I think was it Comic-Con last year we got that clip? We got it at some event, something or other. Wonder Man is the one that kind of fires me up just because I love the character, but they've even got some casting around it, but it sounds like some existing characters like Ben Kingsley as Trevor Slattery from Iron Man 3 and then from Shang-Chi, which he was such a weird ad to Shang-Chi, but he's a fun character.
It worked. That was fun.
Yahya Abdul Mateen II would be Wonder Man, so they're doing a race change. Whatever, who cares? As long as they can make it fun and exciting and make it, Wonder Man, it was Hollywood. He was the stunt man to the stars. He was an Avenger. He's as powerful as Thor, as Superman in some ways. He's just extremely powerful.
And his story is so convoluted, it's so odd weird.
He was a contemporary of Tony Stark as far as a businessman, but he wasn't as smart. And then he and his brother embezzled money, and they went to jail, and then when he couldn't put his life together after he got out, Baron Zemo gave him powers and to fight the Avengers. This was like Avengers number 9, so going back to like 1965. Then he died. He was in a sleep coma for like a decade of real time, and then he woke up, and then he became one of the Avengers. And then lots of green suits.
Vision got his personality, and his brother's the Grim Reaper,
exactly,
which is weird.
It's
and then he became a pacifist which
Yeah.
was weird too.
That kind of happened past my time.
So he is definitely a seeded D tier character that, quite honestly, nobody knows about.
I was a big fan of his spinning out because he was one of the original West Coast Avengers.
Yeah.
He had his own solo title in the 90s. It's not good, but like a lot of the stuff we read back there, it's just member berries.
Well, you can do a lot with it, and quite honestly, the only person you're going to offend is you, Charlie, if they get it wrong. Because everybody else will be like, "Oh, I don't know who he is."
Yeah, exactly, exactly correct. So, so moving from that, we know X-Men 97 is getting a season 2. Should they just call it X-Men 98, like 98, and then the third season would be 99? Because
I think they should. Yeah, why not?
I think the third season is confirmed. So this is rolling, but again, it's TBC, so we don't know when. Yeah. But that story was set up with a great conclusion at the end of season 1, because the time what's it exploded, and all our characters are in different time periods, and they obviously have to get all back together again. So I feel like this next one was a fairly recent rollout. A TV series about Richard Rider as Nova of the Nova Corps, which was we actually, in our MCU rewatch, we just watched Guardians yesterday, so that was where we saw the Nova Corps for kind of like the first and last time. And then we subsequently found out that Xandar, the Nova Core world, half of it was destroyed by Thanos. So I would imagine they eventually, kind of got their shit back together and rebuilt it. But
I mean, we get.
Yeah, what are they going
to have a young cosmic character involved? But once again, this is a lot of heavy lifting to say we're going to bring all of these characters in,
right?
Give it the feel of an Avengers film that everybody remembers. I worry that this is going to be just a film, and putting the name of Avengers on it,
right,
will seem cooler than it actually does, right?
Right,
because who is not going to compare these films to the other films that had Avengers on the name with the people you love versus, the characters you don't really care about, but we introduced Robert Downey Jr. You like him, right? And
here he is again.
I do worry, especially since so many people have been involved in touching all these different characters that didn't really have a hand in them. And now the Russo brothers are coming in, and quite honestly, they've been divorced from this and most of the characters they worked with, and they were going to say, "Oh yeah, here's a book with all the homework you have to read now,
right?
Because you got to get back on board." And by the way, make people love them as much as they love Tony Stark and all these other characters. That is going to be really hard.
I mean,
I think
playing in their favor, I think the MCU as a whole has won back a decent amount of goodwill with Deadpool and Wolverine, but that
is not really MCU though. It has none of the other characters they're not. Wolverine, Deadpool, are they going to show up again?
It was kind of tying things up in a bow, but still leaning very heavily on, because a very small part of that took place in 616. They've got a lot of winning back to do, but people, John Q moviegoer, look at this like, oh, this is Marvel now. Marvel is good again. Oh, we saved the Marvel universe because Loki was great and this was great. Where things that came out before were like, what the hell was Moon Knight? She-Hulk was great. Eternals was terrible. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of excitement now because they played it very well, rolling out these 2 films for next year, and then talking about what's going to happen in 26 and 27. So they've got a lot of good prospects going for them. Where when I don't remember how the Eternals was rolled out back in 2020 or whatever the hell that was announced, because it came out in 2021, right? But it was, I know that Marvel just thought, well, they just thought like it's, making Star Wars merch. Oh, Star Wars, people will buy anything. People who love Marvel will watch anything. And then they didn't.
There was there was a lot of people that said, well, Marvel can't fail.
Yeah.
They're too big to fail. They're like, well, if you say people really loved certain elements of the MCU and those are no longer a part of the MCU, then it's not, did they really love the MCU or did they love Captain America and these characters and these stories you got to know versus there's a lot of other stuff that quite honestly we don't love in the Marvel comic book characters of the past, like Eternals. We always had Eternals. Who likes the Eternals? Nobody does.
Well, otherwise they would have had a dynasty of ongoing comics like the X-Men or the Avengers.
Exactly.
I mean? They would have been constantly published all those years.
Yeah, so I am curious to see how this all comes together. And quite honestly, I think we talked about like what would we like to see.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the problem, because every time I've said, "Oh, I'd like to see this," it doesn't go very well.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's a lot of characters now that people just will glom onto from the remaining characters we've got left that are people like
that have not been rolled out. So just
exactly. Do people want to see Robert Downey Jr. now as a villain? Is he enough to bring people back where he's not Tony Stark? Because if he's not Tony Stark, then he's just a new guy, maybe with a weird, wacky accent and doing things. And
from
he always wrote
from Slobobia, like you said.
Yeah. And could the Fantastic Four work? Sure.
Yeah.
But now you're basically saying, we introduced you in one film. Now you don't have time to grow in your second film or your third film. You're just thrown in there.
You're in there.
It's like with 85 other characters.
Right, exactly. Everybody gets 45 seconds of dedicated screen time.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then is Captain Marvel showing up again?
I think any goodwill she had went up in a crispy fire. Yeah, because that was Marvel's last gigantic failure, was Captain Marvel. What was that, last fall?
Well, the Marvels. Yeah. I mean,
the Marvels.
Yeah. And then you've got, what's her name? You've got, not Polaris.
Don't got it. What is
the other former Captain Marvel from comics.
Photon or Captain
Photon.
Marvel. Yeah,
she's trapped with Beast somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So what does that mean?
Try explaining all those people that left the MCU to say, "Oh yeah, you don't need to read anything. No, you're gonna have to get back. I mean, unless they have a great way, bring Luis back."
Oh, and we just watched Ant-Man yesterday, and April kept saying, "I love Luis. Luis is the best.
Bring him back," because quite honestly, if you want a billion people to go see this movie,
right,
you got to get people back in the loop, because you can't just have things coming back and like, okay, this makes no sense to me.
Right. Well, like I said, if they knock it out of the park with the Fantastic Four, I think it's a good trajectory. You know, like I said,
sure. But the next time you see them, once again, they're interacting with a billion other characters, and it's like.
Right. I don't know. The question is, what other way could they do it? And we don't know that either. We just know
not do two more Avengers films. Honestly,
we knew that Marvel was very successful with the Infinity Saga. We knew that things that followed it have been some hit, mostly. Oh, they've got to begin again. But you're right. Are they beginning again with Robert Downey Jr.? I don't know. We shall see.
Yeah.
All things will tell. Yeah, this all kicks off with Agatha next month, which is again not really interdependent of a lot of these different things.
Well, I think a big showing will be I think the next big thing, obviously, we're getting a Thunderbolts film, or we're getting a Captain America Brave New World.
Right.
Those films, I feel like, will be a big part of saying, is their plan still gonna work? Because if those films are just okay, especially after Deadpool and Wolverine, then we're going to say, ooh, once again, we're setting up a lot of pieces that, quite honestly, people just don't resonate in the biggest thing in the world. And then you get the Fantastic Four, which, quite honestly, is completely different. It's brand new. It's like the Guardians of the Galaxy in some instances, except that everybody knows who the Fantastic Four is. There's already been 2 sets of movies. So I don't know.
Well, we will find out. But again, we'll be talking about it regardless. We're Marvel guys from the Deadwill, but you'll hear that from us. But that is the show. So, friends, as always, thank you for joining us. Todd, where do people find you out there?
They follow me on Threads and at Secret Friends Unite. And by the way, Charlie, you can also use that handle to an account.
I do. I'm better at tagging it than I am in logging into it. But you do a great job. You do a great job.
Yeah.
But I also use Threads, and I use Instagram. I am at the C3 TheCeeThree. It's just me posting pictures of stuff and usually sharing stuff about my dislike for a certain orange candidate for president. But regardless, we're out there having a good time. Our Secret Friends Unite Discord is the friendliest Discord in all of Discords. Don't look it up. But we do have a good time, having lots of great geek conversations and fun, and we would love to have you on board. And as always, our Patreon is a great source for great content, original content, ad-free content, early content, etc. We would love to have you on board if you go to patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. Try us out for 7 days, and we'll see where you land. If you like it, we hope you stick around. But with that, I shall bid you adieu. I'll let you know that sharing is caring, keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
In a truck.
You've been trapped by M. Night Shyamalan's daughter!
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.